Welcome from the deep. I am Mike.
I'm Brett.
And today we are going to be talking about the 1980 film Friday the 13th. This one's interesting because this is a movie that everybody knows, but it is not the movie that everybody thinks it is, unless you're super into horror movies.
I can fully attest to that because the whole time I was watching this, I had the horrible realization that I've never seen this before. I'm 39 years old and I've never seen this before.
I think most people are in that boat. Now, not most people that would be watching this type of podcast, but I think most people think that they know what this movie is, but they are thinking of Friday the 13th, let's be honest, 3 and on.
2, right?
Because even in 2, he has the sack, the sack mask. He's not even wearing the hockey mask in number 2.
Really?
He's wearing blue plaid and overalls and a fucking canvas sack over his head. Yeah.
So he's just an elephantitis man with a shitty Iron Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
I mean, that's.
Let me see if I can find because you do end up actually seeing his face in that. Actually, here's a picture of a toy that McFarlane did that, it's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
That's Jason from number 2.
I have seen that toy, by the way.
Yeah. Here's an actual screenshot of what he looks like in the actual movie there.
What's with his attempt at being on the cover of Vogue picture there?
Which one? This one?
The one at the top right where it's like I could see a model doing that same pose.
Pose. Yeah, fucking Madonna playing in the background. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that Friday the 13th 1 is infamous, but unless you've actually sat down with it, you really don't know what this movie is, but you think that you do. So with that in mind, this is a very old movie. We're going to be spoiling stuff, I think, probably right out of the gate. I think that not spoiling this movie is just a silly thing to do when we're trying to review it and talk about its impact and stuff like that. So if you haven't seen this movie and you don't want it spoiled, yes, it's almost impossible to talk about it at all. So with that being said,
and that's how they got no views on the video.
So with that being said, do you want to go ahead and give us a little synopsis? We'll go into our overall impressions, then we'll get into specifics and deep spoilers, and then we will give ratings. So why don't you give me a synopsis first?
Yeah, so Friday the 13th, part 1 of 20, is about a group of summer camp kids that are reopening a summer camp where some bad stuff happened on account of a pretty deformed child named Jason.
Camp Blood.
You know, really, this is a coming of age story.
How so?
Well, because the kids are
coming
at summer
murder
camp.
age.
Coming of murder age. It's a coming of age. It's the shortest coming of age movie ever before it turns into murder.
All right. Well, the one sentence synopsis on IMDb says a group of teenage camp counselors attempt to reopen an abandoned summer camp with a tragic past, but they are stalked by a mysterious, relentless killer. So one of the things I think is interesting about this movie is that this is a POV killer movie for most of it. Yeah. I think that I'm sure there are, off the top of my head, it's very early, but off the top of my head, I can't think of them, but I know that there are other POV things. Psycho, for instance, comes up in my head. There's several others, but I think that this is one of the first times we really see the traditional slasher movie really come up with the POV thing. And I think that they use it beautifully. One of the great things that this movie does is really plays with what you think. Even if we put all of what we think this movie is aside, when you go into it for the first time, you think Jason, you think hockey mask, you think camp counselors being slaughtered. some of that's in here, most of it is not. So when you go into this and it starts giving you POV slasher kills, and they don't really, when what you've seen clips of, or what you think you've seen clips of Jason running around basically like Leatherface does in the first Chainsaw. And it's 40 minutes of people screaming and him just waving the thing above his head and stuff. I think that's what a lot of people think this first movie is like, but it's not like that at all. It's way more subtle and like almost held back in that way.
Well, I told you when I watched it, because I watched this on YouTube, because that's the only place I could find it for free.
Right.
And it was so tame that I called you and I asked you, does YouTube censor its movies? Because there was violence. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to go back and watch it again.
You watched it twice, once on YouTube and once on the Blu-ray with me.
And the only thing that I noticed was different. I'll have to go back and watch it. I might be completely wrong on this, but YouTube, I think, it crops in during the sex scene with Kevin Bacon to not show her nipple, which, again,
there's barely a nipple there in the original. Barely.
There's barely a nipple there to begin with, and B, I will never understand this American fixation with violence is okay, but we can't show tits and vaginas and penises. Like for some reason, seeing the human body mutilated is a fine path to take, but the second we show it in its natural form, oh no, I can hear the voice of Nancy Reagan just yelling, no, we can't do that.
Well, when we talked about Halloween last week, one of the things we were talking about was that how Halloween really set up all of the pins to be knocked down in the rest of the 80s with slasher movies.
Like Chumbawamba.
Like Chumbawamba did with their 1999 smash hit Tub Thumping.
Thumper.
I think
Thumper.
Is it Tub Thumper? Fuck.
It's Tub Thumper.
I don't think it's 1999 either, but that's not the important point. Either way.
I was going to let you get past that.
Either way, this movie, despite not having the hockey wielding Jason in it, this movie really sets up the core of what a camp slasher movie is. And we see tons of them after this. And not even just camp movies, but teenagers in the woods or in anywhere, basically, just being able to be taken out by a knife wielding maniac. Almost all of that comes from this. And this movie was heavily inspired by Halloween. You can tell because of how creepy it is. There is some POV things in Halloween. If you remember, it's like one or two. So it's real light.
It opens with it.
But yes, exactly. That opening scene. But here's the thing is like this movie sets up what becomes tropes after it. And it is because of this movie that all of the ones after it are the way that they are. So just like a spruce tree, you can tell that the way it is because of the way that it is. So why don't you go ahead and give me your overall impressions on this, and then I'll give you mine.
I started this with a pretty heavy amount of apprehension. Maybe reluctance is a better term. As far as my excitement goes, simply because it wasn't what I was expecting. I realized pretty early on that I was not watching a movie I was familiar with, and Annie's acting is so bad that I sat there for the first several minutes going, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be one of those movies that everybody likes that I end up fucking hating. But as soon as she's gone, it picks up,
which is pretty quick.
Pretty quick. We I will say I had to do a little bit of research just to get to do like one small specific here. The truck driver that drives Annie out to where she's going before she gets picked up by the Jeep. That guy is Maurice, Belle's dad from Beauty and the Beast. And so when I saw that, I did a little and the reason I did the research is because his acting stood out so far from Annie's acting, the girl that plays her, that I had to look him up, and I went, did they get like real actors for this? And it turns out they fucking did. As we will see from who plays the killer, Kevin Bacon. This is the movie that kind of like he attributes to being a very big part of launching his career, because this was a huge box office success. Apparently it's one of the first like indie films, low budget films, to succeed the way that it did.
Yeah.
As
this
far
was
as
massive
as far as
in
the horror genre, which is mind blowing to me considering how much better Halloween is than this movie. And yeah,
no question,
I fucking said it. Halloween's better, but
hang on, hold that thought.
Okay,
because I think you're right about that, but I think here's the difference. And I want to prove that point just a little bit before you go further into what you're doing. Do you remember who directed Halloween? Do you remember?
John Carpenter.
Right. Do you know who directed this?
No, and I feel like that might already be underscoring the point you're about to make.
Yeah, so this was directed by Sean S. Cunningham.
Oh, of course.
And the reason that you don't know him, let's just scroll down.
He looks like the dad from Seventh Heaven with a beard.
This is his entire directing career, 17 movies.
Oh. Did he die?
Actually, I'm not sure about that.
That's weird.
But either way, so if we go back, here's a short, random short. And then all the way up until Friday the 13th, which is 1980, they're just weird little, like, here's
Manny's
what looks like the soccer
Orphans.
version of Bad News Bears. It's
they did that one already. It's called The Big Green.
And then here's another weird, what looks like a baseball movie. He was really into baseball shit. So my point is that Halloween was made by a real auteur director. This was made by somebody that was like, I could do that, and then did and pulled it off, but not nearly as artistically as Halloween. Halloween was made by masters of their craft. This was made by people that were just really into horror movies and DIY punk rock filmmakers, which is why this is so dope in punk rock, but it is not Halloween. So
no, it's not.
Sorry to break up your thought pattern.
No, that's fine.
But yeah,
no, that's
context.
fine. I think that's a fair thing to stop it for. But overall, dude, I had a lot more fun with this than I thought I was going to. Seeing Kevin Bacon's bacon face show up on screen threw me for a fucking loop, because I really felt like this was one I needed to go in blind on.
What's funny about that is you didn't think you were. That's what's funny about that is
that's
what you didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, so I guess that deserves a little more context. I didn't think I was going in blind, and then when I realized I hadn't seen this before, I looked up the guy that plays the truck driver, and then after that, I didn't really start looking into anything more, and I'm really glad I did, because Kevin Bacon threw me for a loop. But I'm really glad I decided not to like dive into it and go look up a bunch of shit before or after, because I wouldn't have gotten the surprise of it being something I hadn't seen, even though I thought I had. This is like the weirdest like version of what is that? The Mandela effect. It's a really, really weird version of that, where I had it in my head for years that I've seen Friday the 13th, and then realized I've never seen Friday the 13th. And I was pleasantly surprised because I started out being horribly disappointed. I sat there and I went, oh, this is going to be like Sleepaway Camp bad, where it's fun, but it's
How
fun.
Fucking dare you?
I know. Where it's fun, but it's bad. And this just ended up being fun.
I mean, it's fun in a really like serious way. I think that the reason this holds up is because of how insane this entire setup is. The Sleepaway Camp thing that you're talking about definitely came from this. I don't know. I think that the main thing here is that this was created by a bunch of people that really wanted to make a dope horror movie. The reason this stuck around so long, blew up as big as it did, and we talked about this a little bit in the Halloween episode, simplicity. And dude, the deeper into photography and writing and anything that you get into, I think the people that do it at a really high level, even if not on purpose, are, and this is why outsider art is so interesting and all of that other stuff, the people that do it at a very high level, even if not on purpose, are the people that are really fucking passionate about it. And it's why we're complaining all the time that modern horror doesn't feel like this. It's because the people that are passionate about it are not the people being hired to make the shit that everybody is seeing. So you end up with a lot of IP rehashing and remakes and requels and all this other shit, is because the people that were making this stuff were doing it because there were no blueprints. There were no tropes. There were old tropes from like 60s, 70s movies. But they took those tropes and flipped them on their head and did their own thing with them. Nobody fucking does that anymore. Nobody takes the old shit and flips it on. Everybody goes, I want to make exactly that. And so every horror movie that has vibes looks like it's from the 80s or they shot it on a VHS tape. Like, we don't make new stuff with new technology that's good anymore. On that note, I just saw for the first time recently, I saw the TV Glow. Bro,
the TV Glow?
I saw the TV Glow. That's the name of the movie.
Okay.
You haven't even heard of this? It's got the you remember, did you see the D&D movie with the like
which
comedic,
one?
the newest one? Yeah.
No, I haven't seen the new
Pine. Is it Pine?
I haven't seen the new one because I saw the older one and it was so fucking bad.
You would love the new one, first of all.
Okay.
You'd love it. But the mage in that movie is in I Saw the TV Glow. And that kid's actually, I think he's kind of blowing up right now. But anyway, that's a good example of people taking the old aesthetic and trying to make an 80s and 90s movie in today's thing. And I have no problem with that. But the thing is like, that's not what they were doing here. This is not scary and creepy, and neither is Halloween, because they're trying to make it seem like it was 35 years before it is. It is modern for them. It is contemporary for them. And I don't know how this flipped on me complaining about modern horror movies, but the reason I'm doing that is because this is so classic and so pure and simple and not complicated and not overthought that it is genius because of it. Sean S. Cunningham may not be a real auteur director and what most people are never going to know his name unless you're a hardcore horror fan. So
I call him SSC.
Despite that, I think that this is a genius level movie. Even if it's not what everybody thinks that Friday the 13th is, this is where all of the lore comes from. This is where everything comes from. Camp Blood or Camp Crystal Lake, all of it. And because of that, it is genius in its own way. Now, he didn't write it, he just directed it. So all of that is to say that this is genius because it plays with expectations. It's new. There's POV. There's a massive twist at the ending that we will get to. And that twist,
it's a very good twist.
Not only is it a great twist, but who plays the killer because it's such a twist, is only magnified. And I don't know what you know about that person and what you don't, but it's crazy that person is in this movie to begin with.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's just a lot of expectations and twists and classic shit in here, which is why it's held up as this insane, crazy movie.
I think part of me thinks the reason that they were able to get the killer, and people that had acting chops already is because it was a new idea, because they saw the vision that Sean S. Cunningham had for this. Or maybe even the writers. Like I don't know how the hiring process went or the casting process, but I think it says a lot that these people are in this movie to begin with.
Yeah.
Even if it is just a couple of them, because it's new for the time. This is something that, like, I imagine would have been hard to pitch to begin with. Because the slasher thing had kind of been, it was not new at this point. This is kind of like, I don't know if this sparked it, but this kind of like is the start of like a slasher revival, isn't it? Like in the 80s?
This is the start of it.
Is it?
Like, just,
is it?
This is the start.
That's what
of
I'm saying.
Halloween came out a year before this, I think 79.
Yeah, and Psycho was 1960.
IMDb, yeah, but that's a proto slasher. That doesn't have any of those tropes. The only thing that has is somebody wielding a knife. If we look at like the slasher tropes with the teens and the the final girl and all of that stuff, all of it comes from this and Halloween, and this is standing on the shoulders of Halloween, as we saw last week.
For sure,
a lot of that stuff is in Halloween. And Friday took that same sort of thing and flipped it on its head with the summer camp, which is the most genius thing about this. The most genius thing about this is the fact that they are in an abandoned summer camp where some crazy shit went down. And so it has this history that the entire local town knows and warns them against and is afraid of something happening again. Now,
do you think
we don't call schools camp schools? But many more people are murdered in schools every day here now than in Camp Blood was. And Camp Blood was like infamous for being the camp where a whole bunch of kids got killed.
If you're not here, you're missing out.
Yeah, that's not really as shocking these days as it was then. So there's also that barrier as well.
That's the thing though, dude. Like I feel like anybody that spent time at a summer camp of any kind when they were kids, because I did. I don't know if you did.
Yeah. Like a real summer camp like this. Yeah.
It's such a fun experience, but when you think about it, it would be so easy for something like this to happen
100%.
At a summer camp. And I feel like, because I know when I was a kid, I never had any thought of like something like this happening. And I feel like when this movie came out, it was such a shocker because summer camp was this like amazing coming of age experience for so many kids that I feel like it's such an ingenious way to terrify people and scare people right off the bat. Just thinking about these amazing experiences they had at a summer camp and going, oh shit, this could totally happen there.
Well, I think that's part of what the genius is, because in the way that Halloween took suburbia in a way that everybody feels comfortable and has had that experience. We even touched on that on the Halloween episode. What you're saying with the summer camp thing is the same thing. And it would be what a lot of like dreams for Nightmare on Elm Street. Everybody dreams. These are all massive things that everybody deals with, even if, it's not the exact same way, which is why it's fucking genius. Well, I want to get into spoilers a little bit. So if you haven't seen this movie, now's the time to check out. The real genius behind this is the twist. So the entire movie, we're seeing the POV of the killer, and we don't know who it is. All you see is the knife. Like you said, a lot of kills are off screen. It's not hyper bloody. There are some crazy kills here, but nowhere near where it goes in sequels. But The big twist here, let's just go into it, is that it's not Jason. The way everybody thinks it's Jason, and to be fair, the first time you see this movie, if it is in the 80s, you may not have the context of expecting Jason. So going into this completely blind in a world where Jason doesn't exist yet, which I know is kind of weird and hard to think about, but going into this in a world where Jason doesn't exist yet, this twist is beautifully done. It is like M. Night Shyamalan level, what the fuck? And it's just doesn't have that same cinematic punch because of how old it is. But yes.
Dude, the reveal, having the knowledge of knowing who it is, because I feel like everybody knows who it is at this point. Yeah. I knew who it was. I knew it was the mom. Yeah. But even still, her reveal, when I see her for the first time, I went, oh shit, there she is. And then you watch her, watching her acting, I didn't know who she was until I started looking into it. You can tell she's an old-timey actress. She is one Savannah, Georgia accent away from being Gone with the Wind. And she just has that style of acting. And
yeah, I mean, look at this, works. Dude. It's a lot of TV. It's a lot of TV. And she was one a soap big opera role. Actress. She was a soap opera. And I don't know the name of the role because I'm not familiar with. And I'm looking through here and I wouldn't be able to pick out that main role that she did, even if somebody paid me a bunch of money to. But
pay us money.
I think that the reason she pulls this off so well is because of the soap opera background. It's this hyper, like, it's just very dynamic and very over the top and very stage-like. It feels like she thinks she's in a play. That's what it feels like. Yeah. And then on top of that, the other main actress, the final girl, what is her fucking name?
Susan.
Alice. So close.
I'm going to call her Susan.
So close. Oh my God. I forgot about that. So I think that Alice is actually a really good actress too. She's played by Adrienne King. She's great. But the thing is like the reason she's great is because the murderer is so over the top that it's like, dude, it almost feels like a soap actress, like murder mystery toward the end. Like the way that they're rolling around and hitting each other and the music, and it's all very like not that cinematic. If like in the cinematic, and what's really funny is juxtaposition to Halloween. This looks really amateur, like really fucking amateur, especially the last 10 to 15 minutes.
I did not know who she was either going into this. But when I saw her, I knew, okay, this woman's done something. Like she just has that energy about her. And then when I saw who she was, I went, how the fuck did you pull that out? She's got to be somebody's aunt, right? But again, I keep coming back to the vision of the movie. I think it was such an original idea. And I think, I mean, because if you look at Sean S. Cunningham's, is what I'm going to start calling him.
Cunningham?
No, I'm just going to start calling him.
No, you said Cunningham. Like, on ham.
What do you do for Thanksgiving?
Coming on ham.
Yes. Ham come.
Sorry. Go ahead.
But no, her being in this at all is, again, to me, a testament to people seeing the vision that was going into this. People seeing that it was an original idea.
Yeah, a huge part of the shock in this is not only the twist of the movie, but who the actress is. Because if we're familiar with her work beforehand and you see her, and I think she played like a loving, doting mom or something on a soap opera. And so this character is like total polar fucking opposite, I think. I could be wrong there.
No. She's definitely a loving, doting mom.
I mean, that's true. Just in the most
she's a
psycho way
fucking
possible.
psycho, but
Yeah.
she is a loving, doting mom who loves her lumpy baby boy.
But I think that's the thing and the core emotion behind this movie and why it works so well is because the reasons that she has for doing what she's doing are very good and believable. I feel like somebody
Yes.
who had a kid like that would be so overly protective of that kid
100%.
and be really worried about sending him to fucking summer camp anyway, because you know that kid's going to be ostracized and picked on and all that stuff anyway.
Yep.
And then
Well, she was working at the summer camp.
yeah, was she? I guess
Yeah,
that's
she was
true.
in the kitchen.
Yeah, she
worked in the kitchen.
So either way, you know that kid's going to be picked on and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then some horrible shit happens where the kid drowns. I could see that woman snapping and
Yeah.
just letting everyone, like killing everyone. And then when a whole bunch of people show up to reopen the fucking thing, you go, oh, no, I'm going to shut that shit down right now because you're crazy. And so you show up and you start, and especially if you think that it's all happening again in your head. Like, that's the other thing is, like, it feels like she thinks because kill her, mommy, like all that stuff is in there because she's fucking nuts. And she plays it beautifully and it's believable because of what happened.
Yeah, 100%. Well, dude, that's why so much of this works, though. Like, none of it. The only part of this that really stood out as what are we doing here is the you're all doomed guy where that keeps like popping up in the camp. It's like, you wouldn't be. Oh, and the cop that's clearly never ridden a motorcycle. That also felt unrealistic because.
You should know how to ride a motorcycle.
you should know what you're doing. Like, oh, it's day one for him. Where are your training wheels? Where are your training wheels?
But I mean, I think that this is hard to pick apart cinematically because of everything we talked about earlier. This is not a high-minded horror movie. That's just not what this is. This is low-budget kind of trash. And because of that, you have to look at it in a little bit different way than Halloween. Halloween has intention behind it. It has artistic integrity. It's lit well. It's shot well. It's acted well. He directed the crap out of that movie.
Yes, he did.
This is not that. This is lower budget. It doesn't have people that really know what they're doing acting wise. You can tell that the people that were behind the scenes were kind of making it up as they went along, and all of that, the DIY punk rock aspect of it is why it works. The reason that Halloween can stand, or that Friday the 13th can stand right next to Halloween as like a classic horror movie and not have, and have no one look around and go, wait a minute, that one of these things is not like the other.
You saying that it's movies like this that make me feel really, really, really bad for the AD because I just imagine the AD losing their mind while trying to keep everything on track and keep everything on schedule.
I mean, yeah, the problem is like this just feels like a bunch of people that didn't really know what they were doing. And it really feels like that. And Halloween does not feel like that. And, it feels like that. Like horror movies, horror fans don't always want high-minded artistic shit. They want Last House on the Left. They want Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They want Friday the 13th. So, it's all part of the fucking charm. It's just that Halloween is, and it's lost a little bit of it because of how many sequels and the quality of those sequels the Halloween franchise has gotten over the years has sort of tainted the original movie a little bit, especially 2. I have a lot of feelings about Halloween 2. But regardless, I feel like Friday the 13th stands on its own and in its own place in horror history because that's what horror fans want. This is the type of movie horror fans want. It's lowbrow, it's dirty, it's gross, it's
fun.
It's fun. Yes.
It's fun. That's
fun.
all, and that's what I keep coming back to while
Yeah.
you're sitting here talking about, like it's clear they didn't know what they're doing. First of all, one department knew what they were doing, and it's the fucking lighting department, because these night shots are amazing. Like they're lighting for night. That's what they're doing, and they're lighting for night with film stock.
Well, it's
Like,
easier,
dude,
it's
that's-
easier because you can push film harder. Like it's easier to overexpose film than it is digital. So if
Right.
you hyper overexpose, light it correctly, and then hyper overexpose, you get this really nice dark film image. Yeah.
Right. It's just like, dude, like I said, it's clear they didn't fully know what they were doing,
Yeah.
but they knew what they wanted to do, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, I think that they had aspirations of making something that is like Halloween. And I could be wrong here, but I think that they were pretty open about being inspired by Halloween a few years earlier.
I mean, you
somebody
have to
correct
be.
me if I'm wrong there, but
You would have to be open about that. You can't sit there and say you weren't.
and all the thing is like this movie too has the problem of like too many sequels and too many weird directions and all that. But if you just boil this down to like the first 2 or 3 movies in the series, it has a really strong base, and it's all because of the lore set down in this movie. And that is more importantly what it did for this franchise is it sets up the lore beautifully. It lets you have this mom that we followed through the first movie, and every time they reference it, every time that Jason the next time is tricked, like for instance in Friday the 13th 2, I don't know if you've seen that one. I won't spoil
Apparently
it, but
not.
it just, dude, the way that this movie plays into some of the others is very cool, and it's just fun. It's just fun, and not everything needs to be high-minded and artistic, and this movie proves it. So why don't you give me your final thoughts and ratings?
Final thoughts. Friday the 13th Part 1. It's grungy, it's dirty, it's not perfect, and that's what makes it fucking perfect. And the rating on this one's a little more difficult because I have to include intention and execution. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm sitting around the same place. I think that if you go any lower than that, it's not giving the credit that's deserved to this movie. This did a lot, even if it's not high-minded and artistic and all that stuff. In its own way, it is. But the reason that so many people connected with it when it came out and continue to every single fucking year is because it is classic. This is classic horror shit.
Yeah.
It's fun and gross and lowbrow and dirty, and that is why it works. So I also sit at 8 out of 10. There's just room for improvement. They clearly didn't really know what they were doing, but that doesn't always hurt it. Outsider art and auteur stuff are different than this. This is somebody that wants to make high-minded artistic stuff, but just has a better eye than they do talent at the time of making this. And you can see when someone's taste is better than their skill. And that's written, dude, it's written all over this. It really is. It's written all over this. So as much as I'm shitting on like the lowbrow and dirtiness of it, that's all of that is why it works and why it's still loved and remembered. There's tons of lowbrow shitty movies that have come out since then. That's not cranberry sauce. I'm telling you, just because it's dirty and dumb and gross doesn't make it good. This hits every box, and because of that, it is on Mount Rushmore. So let us know what you think of Friday the 13th. Are we stupid? Are we rating it too high, too low? Let us know.
You're stupid.
Yeah, you're dumb, not us. If you like this, make sure you hit the like button. If you really liked it, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we got tons more content like this on the page and more coming in the future. Thank you to everybody that's been watching our stuff. We really appreciate it. And we will see you guys next time from the deep. Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.